Sarah was a waitress in a cozy diner, and every day she poured her heart and soul into her job. She has always dreamed of owning her own restaurant and saw her job as a way to practice and hone her skills for when she'll run her own restaurant one day. Sarah had a reputation for being kind, helpful, and attentive to the needs of her customers. She greeted each person with a warm smile, always willing to go the extra mile to ensure their dining experience was enjoyable. Her dedication and genuine care for others shone through in every interaction, and as a result, she was almost always rewarded with generous tips. Every day, as Sarah counted her hard-earned cash, she could feel her dream inching closer. The money she saved was safely tucked away in her apartment in a jar. Every time she looked at it, it felt like she was one step closer to the day when she could turn her aspirations into reality. However, life had other plans for Sarah. One day, as she returned to her apartment from another busy shift at the restaurant, something very unexpected turned her life upside down. She had worked a long, demanding shift at the diner, and all she wanted was to collapse on her couch, count up her hard-earned money, and curl up with a book. But as she closed the door behind her, a sense of unease washed over her. The room felt different. Shadows danced eerily across the walls, and a shiver crawled up her spine. Her heart raced as she noticed the disarray. Drawers pulled open, clothes thrown across the floor, and furniture turned upside down. Sarah's breath hitched in her throat as she rushed into her bedroom, praying that maybe, just maybe, whoever did this didn't find the jar that held her dreams. But her hopes were crushed as she reached her hiding place. A nightstand turned upside down, empty. Panic gripped her as she frantically searched every corner of her apartment, hoping to find some trace of her stolen savings. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring her vision as she sank to the floor, overwhelmed by a sense of violation and despair. The weight of her shattered dreams bore down on Sarah, crushing her spirit. How could she possibly fix this? All the sacrifices, the late nights, and early mornings had been in vain. It felt as though the universe had conspired against her, stripping away her hard-earned success. With trembling hands and a heavy heart, Sarah dialed the police, hoping they could offer some solace or perhaps, against all odds, retrieve what had been stolen. But deep down, she knew the chances were slim. She had lost everything. The days that followed were a blur of anguish and frustration. Sarah went through the motions, mechanically attending work at the diner, her once radiant smile replaced by a hollow face. The customers noticed her diminished spirit, their concerned glances reflecting the compassion she had always shown them. It was during one of those moody days that Mr. Thompson arrived at the diner, as he had done countless times before. He took his usual seat in the corner booth, his eyes scanning the room until they settled on Sarah. When Sarah approached his table to take his order, Mr. Thompson studied her closely, concern etched on his face. "Good morning, Mr. Thompson. The usual?" said Sarah. But Mr. Thompson was not one to turn a blind eye. His keen intuition told him that something was deeply wrong. As Sarah turned to walk away, he called out to her, his voice gentle yet firm. "Sarah, wait." She paused, curiosity mingling with exhaustion. "Yes, Mr. Thompson? Is there something you need?" "Sarah," he said gently, "you don't seem like your usual self today. Is something the matter?" Sarah sighed and mustered a faint smile. "It's nothing, Mr. Thompson. Just a rough day. Thank you for asking, though." Mr. Thompson wasn't convinced. He knew Sarah well enough to recognize when something was amiss. "Come now, Sarah. I've seen you at your best and brightest. I know there's more to this. Please, if there's anything I can do, let me help," said Mr. Thompson, gesturing to her to take a seat across from him. Sarah hesitated. She didn't want to be vulnerable in front of her customers. It was unprofessional. But she couldn't resist the concern in Mr. Thompson's eyes. With a heavy sigh, she pulled out a chair and sat across from him. I had a terrible night, Mr. Thompson," Sarah began, her voice trembling. "Someone broke into my apartment and stole all my savings," said Sarah quietly. "Oh dear. Well, how much was it? Maybe I could help," asked Mr. Thompson. "Sir, you don't understand. You see, for the last 5 years, I've been saving up to open my own restaurant. I dreamed of doing so ever since I was a little girl. I nearly saved up enough for the lease, and those people took it all. All of it," said Sarah. Mr. Thompson's face softened with sympathy as he reached across the table to grasp Sarah's hands in his. "Oh, Sarah, I'm so sorry. That's an awful thing to go through. But remember, setbacks don't define us. It's how we rise from them that truly matters." "Thank you for the kind words," said Sarah with a sense of defeat in her voice. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes once again. "I'm so sorry about this. I need to take a minute to myself. I will be right back with your order, sir," said Sarah, and hurried to get back into the kitchen. The thought of rebuilding her savings seemed daunting, but the kind words from customers helped. Sarah knew she wasn't alone, but the road to success now seemed almost impossible to complete. That evening, as Sarah went about her duties, serving plates of delicious food to her customers, she couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Mr. Thompson's words echoed in her mind, urging her to stay resilient and reminding her that miracles could happen. As the last customer left the diner, Sarah began cleaning the tables. She was tired, and the hopelessness from the situation weighed down on her shoulders, but she was determined to complete her shift to the best of her ability. As she cleared Mr. Thompson's booth, she noticed something unusual, an envelope lying beneath a napkin. Curiosity piqued. Sarah unfolded the paper. It was a note from Mr. Thompson that read, "Dear Sarah, your story has deeply inspired me. Your unwavering kindness and dedication haven't gone unnoticed. I couldn't help but think about the dream you shared with me. Pursuing your dreams is always hard, but we mustn't give up. If I did so back in my day, I'd never be where I am today. Inside this envelope is a check to compensate for your loss. I don't know how much you need, but I hope it is enough. Please use it to accomplish your dreams. You deserve it. With utmost sincerity, Mr. Thompson." Sarah gasped, her hand flying to her mouth in disbelief. She read the note over and over as the weight of Mr. Thompson's gesture sank into her mind. A mix of emotions flooded her: gratitude, disbelief, and an overwhelming determination to honor the faith he had in her. The next day, Sarah took a deep breath as she walked into the bank, clutching the check in her trembling hands. It felt surreal to be given a second chance, to have a lifeline thrown her way when all seemed lost. She knew she couldn't let this opportunity slip through her fingers. With each step, her resolve grew stronger. Sarah cashed the check, her hands no longer trembling but filled with determination. The stolen savings were replaced, and with renewed hope in her heart, she set out to find the perfect location for her dream restaurant. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, as Sarah poured her energy into building her restaurant from the ground up. With the support of the community and the newfound determination she had gained from Mr. Thompson's act of kindness, Sarah's dream began to take shape. Through hard work and dedication, Sarah finally saved up enough to open her own small restaurant. The grand opening of Sarah's restaurant was sensational. The town came together to celebrate Sarah, filling the place with warmth, laughter, and the intoxicating aroma of culinary delights. Sarah stood at the entrance, tears streaming down her face as she welcomed each guest, and every guest personally. Mr. Thompson, the man who gave Sarah a second chance at her dream, walked through the doors with a beaming smile. He hugged Sarah and said, "Congratulations, Sarah. You made all of this come true. I'm so proud." "Thank you, sir. So much." Sarah smiles. "Don't think I've forgotten. I'm planning to pay you back," Sarah added. "Nonsense. I'll take a nice warm meal in this town over cash any day," said Mr. Thompson. "All right, lifetime free food it is," joked Sarah. "There's always tips," laughed Mr. Thompson, and went inside. The years of hard work, setbacks, and unwavering determination led Sarah to this moment. She finally got everything she wanted. While there was still a lot of work ahead of her, she felt like she was finally somebody.